Greetings, everyone. I'm so grateful to be here and to drink from the wells that each of you have already shared. I'll keep my remarks pretty brief. Given the theme is wade in the water, wade in the water, wade in the water. I'd like to begin with a poem, and then I will reflect a little bit on the meaning and the power of the water as I've come to know it after spending time living and learning from Afro-Brazilian community in Salvador, Bahia, Brazil. And I'll end with remarks from Bell Hooks on grief. I'd like to begin by lifting up something Faith lifted up, which is that my heart goes out to everyone who's in LA. I'm currently on Tongva land in South LA and have loved ones who've had to evacuate. Just really, truly keeping you all in our thoughts and prayers, and your loved ones in our thoughts and prayers as we observe, where the wildfires go and what they decide to do. Just as our ancestors learned how to wade in the water, in the trees, in the forests, and escapades, this is a time where we are preparing to have to do things that we've never imagined, daring to be more of ourselves, to be made more whole, on the brink of abandon as we prepare to welcome in this 47th president here in the States. While over a year, we have watched a televised genocide continue to slay Gazans. We've watched people of African descent in the Congo, Sudan, Haiti, continue to feel the repercussions of imperial settler colonialism. And here, for those of us who are American citizens, every day we have to reckon with the fact and the reality that our tax dollars go to paying for the bloodshed of little children. So what does it mean to have faith in the ordinary? When I think of the water, I think of this old saying I learned that there's nothing that water can't fix: sweat, tears, or the ocean. Be free, then, like the winter leaves, as they abound the intermingling for the least of these. The radiance of such beautifully colored trees cadently transcends the brisk aura in the winter breeze, and no character contends to defend. At ease, at peace, this is where life transcends. And some believe the Almighty doesn't exist? Whew, well, golly geez, would you just take a look at this? Let it nurture every part of the tethered soul, naturally blooming, enveloping the untethered folds. Within this escapade, we found love, this lifetime, that heals transgressions while sounds escape. The way the moon kisses the night on a cool winter plate, the way the sun graces the sky on a warm, sunny day, the way the wind waves goodbye as smiles fade, the way Fisk Jubilee sing while in the water they wade. Wade in the water, wade in the water. Oh, Jesus, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the waters. And as we step up in this space with style and grace, God gives us visions about humanity's fate. He tells us that no matter what you've done, it's never too late to shake it off and have fun. But there's no time to wait to activate your greatness in this here divine settled date. So what do we do then with the grief of everyday living? It makes me think of the Afro-diasporic religion, Candomblé, the Afro-Brazilian religion of Candomblé. The Orisha Iemanjá is the goddess of the ocean. And when I was young, in my early 20s, I lived in Brazil, and I was just beginning to heal personal and family wounds and trauma and process. And For me, capoeira and poetry have always been ways to connect with the ancestors. And I remember on February 2nd, it's Festa Iemanjá. Every February, it's a day where people across religions, Catholicism, of course, is the religion of the colonizer, who brought that faith to the indigenous peoples and forced Afro-Brazilians to practice. But both non-Protestant and Protestants would come to the water to give an offering. I saw a sea of white flowers that would be sent out to Mother Iemanjá. And it was a way of recognizing the silent, the subtle, but the ever-present power that the water has. We who are generational African Americans understand what it is to have the water be both a site of cleansing, just as John the Baptist speaks about when he's preparing the way for Jesus to come. But we also know what it means for the water, the transatlantic trade, slave trade, to be a site of deep trauma, of deep suffering. And so as I think about how to hold the dualities, the terrible truths, as Toni Morrison speaks to, as we prepare for this year and think about what is to come, 2025 is looking real grim, some might say. But when I think about what our ancestors have been doing and how the water can serve as a sign and a symbol for us to continue to hold both, to hold the deep suffering, the tragedy, and the devastation, to recognize it, to acknowledge it, to not be naive towards it, but to also hold the deep beauty and possibility of what it means to lean into community together, as so many people lifted up and mentioned, then I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged because there's nothing that we can't do together, as Luke reminds us, right? And so I'll wrap up my remarks with this quote by Bell Hooks. I'm in a season of life where I'm experiencing a lot of personal loss, and I think a lot of us are, as was mentioned. Many of us are marked with isolation, feeling alone, but also missing what once was, missing what it meant to relate to each other in ways pre-pandemic, and yearning for something more than artificial connection. My grandma Mary, she transitioned to be with the ancestors just a little less than 2 weeks ago. And I don't find it coincidental that God had me open up to Bell Hooks' All About Love on loss, a chapter on loss. And I thought maybe this could serve someone else who might be going through missing someone. She says, since loving lets us let go of so much fear, it guides our grief. When we lose someone we love, we can grieve without shame. Culturally, that's acceptable, given that commitment is an important aspect of love. And we who know love, know we must sustain ties both in life and in death. So my question to a lot of us is, what is it that you are dying to? Is it an old version of yourself? Is it an old idea of what could be? Is it an old connection that you once had? Our mourning, our letting ourselves grieve over the loss of loved ones is an expression of our commitment, a form of communication and communion. Knowing this and possessing the courage to claim our grief as an expression of love's passion does not make the process simple in a culture that would deny us the emotional alchemy in grief. I'm here simply to encourage you today to allow yourself to grieve, just as Jesus wept, as John tells us in his book, right? Just as John came as the messenger, it is believed that Legba in the Yoruba tradition also was the messenger who came to tell us a message. And John tells us that Jesus wept. So as we fight and as we engage in a fierce love for ourselves and for our people and for our human comrades, may we remember that it's okay to grieve, and may we grieve together and lean in. Thank you.